Good afternoon, everybody. It's Jim. I'm here streaming again. I already have 4 tables of 5 and L. And I'm starting the stream about 30 minutes late today. I apologize for that. I was out working today and just got home. And I think I had mentioned yesterday that I might be late today, and unfortunately it came to fruition. But I guess better late than never. We'll plan on playing an hour of cash games and then an hour of sit and goes unless something comes up. We'll at least get the hour of cash games in. And you'll notice I'm playing one 9-handed table on the top right. Well, it's a full ring table that doesn't have 9 players yet. But just to make sure I had 4 tables up, I went ahead and pulled up this full ring table, which I think is fine. Going to fold the 3s after limping on the button. I may consider it after I get 2 calls. Just 1 call, I'm now getting not a very good price. Not terrible. I mean, we do have $2.10. I think I'm going to barrel off on this table here. And the jack is a good card to continue on. But however, that is like the worst river possible, so I think we have to give up on that one. He's definitely not folding that, I don't think. I'm going to go ahead and fold the 3s. But he was slow playing kings the whole way. So good thing we got a bad river, so we didn't waste another 40 cents or whatever we would have bet there. So we'll have a little tentative read on this guy that he likes to slow play big pairs. So we'll play a couple minutes here and then we'll evaluate the valuability of our tables, how fishy they are, in other words. I'm going to check back for showdown value with my king high, and then decide what to do on the turn. I don't see any reason to bet now. It looks like he's just ready to check it down for showdown. That's fine with me. And we win at showdown. I'm going to go ahead and leave this table. Not really in the mood to play heads up. I think check shoving is better in this limped pot here, because it gives him a better price to call it off with his draws. We almost certainly have the best hand. If he flops a flush, good game, sir. We'll leave this one and find another one. But it also allows him to put money in the pot when he has nothing, which is kind of a good goal. If we lead, we lose that opportunity sometimes. This guy's been pretty active lately. I'm going to fold the 9-3. However, I will open the ace-10 offsuit. It's going to be difficult to get more than 1 street out of a queen, so I'm just going to check back. Give him a chance to catch up a little bit and be more confident in his 1-pair type hand. And we'll also mitigate the times that we're beat here. Obviously just calling the river now. He could very well be value betting with a worse hand than us as well. He overbets. A lot of times this is indicative of a turn to flush draw that got there on the river, so I think we're going to have to fold. He's just trying to, it's kind of a make-up bet. I doubt he would be doing this as a bluff. The 4s are really, 4 of clubs should be a very scary card for him. So when he overbet jams, I mean, it looks, could be a maniac thing to do, but I'm just going to assume he had it there most of the time. We pick up some equity in case we were behind here. Not sure what he could be leading with. Sometimes this is a nut type hand, but we have top pair, a gut shot, and the nut flush draw. He certainly could peel here. Trying to think of what worse hands could call it off if we jam. Yeah, I think peeling is fine. Yeah, I think this is a fold. It's likely he just had a hand like Jack 7 or something like that to take this line. It's kind of weird that people are... I guess it's not that big of an overbet. Typically when somebody is bluffing, they do jam like this. He already showed strength on the turn. I'm just going to assume he has something like a nut hand or 2 pair or something like that. Most of the time. Just fold. I certainly could have shoved the turn, but I think it's not quite as good of a play as if a blanket peeled off. Because the 7 hit, that completed a lot of the draws he could have had on the flop, and it would make sense for him to protect those hands. Like if he turned straight, he obviously would want to protect against flush draw and keep me from checking back. So I think that made our shove a little less good. It's just hard to get called by a worst hand if we shove. Basically turning our top pair into a what do you call it? Can't think of the word. Into a semi-bluff. Because if we could get called, basically our ace means almost nothing. We're just trying to hit a flush or straight. The first hand, this player's 3-bet after we ISO. I'm just going to give him some credit here. Usually if he's going to bluff there, he'll spend a little more time thinking about it. It's like he already knew that he was going to either open or ISO or 3-bet, and because it only took him 5 seconds to make the bet. Just assuming he had a strong hand. Stronger than ace-jack. It's highly possible that he's taking advantage of me ISOing on the button as well. I think ace-queen suited would be the bottom of our range to put it in with no read in that spot. Most people at these stakes are just playing their hands face up. You should always err on that on the side of caution against these players. Even the most of the regs are just value based. They're not looking to make plays. It's not 100% true all the time, but it is more often than say if we were playing 200 and L, which is where you'll start seeing a lot of people just playing the situation versus playing their cards. Kind of like this tune that's playing. Kind of a retro video game type thing. I actually bought my wife the original Nintendo NES for I think Christmas or her birthday of last year. I think it was Christmas. She doesn't watch this stream, so I can talk about it. I also bought her this year for Christmas a cartridge that has 150 or 130 games or something like that. A few we already have in that list, but hell, 130 something games is pretty awesome. So there's some draws that can definitely continue here, and it's possible he gets off something where it's beating us, like a 7x type hand. So I think betting is best. Since there's a lot of draws and gut shots and things in his range, I think betting a little bit bigger. Of course, a lot of the time he'll just have an 8 here as well, or pocket 5s or 6s or something like that that's beating us. But I still think checking back for showdown value is good. It's like he was thinking about bluffing there. That's why he paused. I was going to snap it off, so unfortunately he did not. He just had a gut shot, so which made his 2 calls pretty fishy. I could ISO this. Maybe a little bit weak for this position. I'm going to do it anyway because the rest of the table seems fairly straightforward and fairly tight. I'm going to check back in a 3-way pot. I likely have the best hand. I'm not likely to get value from worse in a 3-way pot. So I'd rather play a turn, see what develops. It looks like we have the best hand a lot of the time. I think I'm going to just protect my hand with a small bet that could definitely get value from worse, like other ace highs could call here. King highs, 6-7s, gut shots type hands, ace 4s, 4-7s, you know, something like that could continue for one bet. But we definitely need to protect what is almost always the best hand when they don't lead the turn. So this is a ship, 100% here. I don't think I need to discuss that one, it was pretty obvious. Especially in a squeeze type situation. Flop a gut shot with equity, so we have equity. I think it's good to lead, because he'll have a lot of hands that he limps with that'll hate this flop. We can get him off a lot of ace highs, king highs, small pocket pairs. And obviously turning the straight is great. We don't want to give any free cards. I'm just going to pot the turn and hope he calls with 2-pair or something to that effect. And make him have a really tough decision with his heart draws, or maybe something that picked up some equity like a 10x type hand. Wait, not 10x. Whatever the top of that was, that wasn't a straight. Double gutter or something like that. I don't know. Not trying to be exact there, it's just something like that in that situation in general. Not necessarily that specific hand, what I'm discussing. Because you can, what I'm talking about is grouping. This may not make any sense to any of you. I hope I'm coming across clear to some of you. What I'm talking about is you can kind of group decisions. How do I say this? You can kind of group decisions, common decisions, in common spots on common turn and river cards. So in that spot there, I have a gut shot. So when I lead there, I pretty much got a preset turn decision already made based on a turn card and how that turn card affects the strength of my hand or hurts the strength of my hand or whatever. But when I turn the straight there, I'm betting a particular amount for a particular reason to get the particular result I want. What I'm saying is that hand pretty much plays itself once I make the straight. The draw heavy board, I hit my draw. I need to protect, get max value from a ton of hands that can continue there. I'm just going to fold the Jack-9 offsuit. But anyways, in a nutshell, not just about that specific spot, but you should always kind of have a feeling of what you're doing on the next street. You don't just make, like, okay, I'm protecting my hand, but what's my play on the next street? And that'll determine what your bet sizing is on this street to set up the most advantageous play based on what the most common result is of the turn. If that makes any sense. Like, for instance, I'm not going to lead this because although I do have an open-ender, it's a weak open-ender. So I'm just going to check fold. Should I turn the straight? I'm going to... Depends on which end of the straight I hit. I'm just going to probably half pot fold. If I hit the bottom end of it, if I hit the top end, like if a 4 peels, we'll play it completely differently. Will anything fold here? Worst in my hand? Probably not for one bet, unless I did something like double pot or something. But I have showdown value, so why the hell would I need to do that, right? I'm almost wondering if he's just stabbing with like 6 here or 7, and I could just pot it here and get him off of it. It's a small pot. I'm not going to be a play machine. I'm just going to fold because I don't have confidence that a 58-0 is actually going to fold. It's definitely not folding an 8 there, I don't think. I think that's an interesting board if I'd happen to make a flush there to do a check shove, check raise. But it's hard to lead and get value. I decide whether shipping is best because I'm likely to see a multi-way pot if I just ISO, and it's tough to play 9s in a multi-way pot. I'm going to ship and just hopefully he limped something like 7s, 8s, and we'll call. And we also get some kind of light ace high, ace 8 call from player 5. So that's another instance of just thinking about what the flop looks like the next street before you make your action. Like if this was a tight player and this was a tight player, I would just ISO and play heads up with the nines. Nines plays really well heads up, kind of shitty three-way, four-way. A lot of times you're just forced to bet once and give up, and then have to fold to future bets that are probably a lot of the times bluffs. You're always playing guessing games, or you have to check back and then play guessing games on the turn, or face some kind of weird lead when you have an overpair and it's like a 7-6-4 board. Once again, it's tough to bet and get it in because it's three-way, whatever, you know. So just try to always set up the most advantageous next decision for yourself. I mean, that's a lot of the secret to poker, right? Once you get past the basics and how to place particular streets, it's all about setting up the most advantageous situations for yourself. If there's anything I could teach any of you, and you don't get anything else out of these watching these videos, that's it. This is a good turn card to either raise or bet. I expect to be able to bet and then just bet any river and get folds almost always on this texture. Yeah, that's a weird check raise. This looks like to me that he just thinks I would have bet flush draws on the flop, and now he's just making a little raise based on that information. So I don't know if I have enough room to do this. Yeah, I just don't have enough room to play back. I could definitely float here, and then if he checks, bet the river. But usually when people commit to these kind of plays, they're just going to follow through, and I don't have any room to get him off of it, and I don't have any showdown value. If I had like 9x there, I could potentially have the best hand. This player's fairly tight, so I'm going to ISO in the cutoff with the ace-3 suited. Yeah, I thought about limp shoving here, but these players just don't look aggressive enough to do that. Or I could have just open shoved. I'm going to insta-check shove now. Very few turn... I mean, think of a turn card I'm not going to like here. Any club I'm going to be fine with, because I have the ace of clubs. If somebody has 2 clubs here, good game. If somebody has a 5, good game. And in fact, I don't think I need to bet. It's going to be tough to get value from anything except maybe a 10, and I'm probably going to get 1 street out of that anyway, so I might as well just go ahead and get it on the river. If somebody has like king jack here, it's just unfortunate I let him get there. But I have 2 pairs, queens and 5s, I'm just going to see the showdown. And he did have the flush, so we lost the minimum there. I think if we bet the flop, the money's just going to get in by the river. I'm just going to ship the showdown value and a flush draw. When we get there, so life is good. We had an ace and the diamonds for an out, so we had what, 12 outs. So we were basically flipping there.
Geico makes it easy. With 24/7 access, all you have to do is go to geico.com and you could save money on car insurance. It just makes sense. Unlike, you know,
dance with me, purple cow. I like your moves.
Okay, no action for a while here. I wish that zone poker was 30 or 40 big blind minimum instead of the 50 big blind minimum. We would definitely play 2 tables of that. Fortunately, I think this is one of those hate it or love it boards, so most of the time he hates it. I think we can just bet and win 75% right now. Didn't want to see the pause raise. It doesn't really matter. Our hand is very easy to fold there. We have nothing. Most of the high VPIP games are 25 and L or 10 and L right now. Kind of blows. Looks like we're steadily losing every pot here. This guy's really passive. I think just betting small, trying for 2 straights here. Just probably shove any turn. And if he has it, he has it. I think worse can call 1 straight there, and then we just get him to either fold or whatever after putting some money in. It's hard for him to have us beat there. And there's potential hands that we could shove the turn he fold, like small pocket pairs as well. He shouldn't be doing that, but that doesn't mean he's not going to. He is 44-7. And speaking of which, we're going to evaluate our tables. There's a lot of rivers I'm going to fire here. That's not one of them. I think king highs snap us off now if we bet. So this table looks decent. I have the 2 fish are probably to my left, but if it's 2 fish, I don't mind it just because it's 2 fish. And I'll have position when I have the button in this spot here in a lot of steal situations. So it's okay. Most of the time I won't though, but I'll be early position in my range. I'll be stronger then, so it's not really that big of an issue. This table looks decent as well. I have a 50-0 here, 44-6 here. I do have an aggressive player directly on my left. That's not ideal. But I think with the 2 fish here, I'm not going to leave this table. I have a fish directly to my right on this table, 71-25, so it doesn't really matter what the rest of the dynamic is. If I have this guy here, I'll stay here all day long. This one I just sat at, so I don't really have a read yet. I'm going to go ahead and raise the 5-7 offsuit to a small blind limp. I raise a very wide range in this situation. Most people are just trying to see a cheap flop, so when you 4x it there, they're going to fold a lot. And you have position if you get called. And if they're trapping, it's an easy fold with 7-5. Ouch. A pretty big pot. This guy got it in with just an open ender, I think. And a backdoor flush draw. Yep. And normally I would open this Jack-7, but in this dynamic with this small amount of money, hand just doesn't play as well post-flop as I'd like. I'm just going to have to check fold so often there, I think I'll just not even play the hand to begin with. Being short sometimes makes you nut camp a little bit in some instances. But I think the fact that you gain a lot of value with your stronger hands, and mid-range hands, like 8s and 7s and ace 10s and jacks, makes it okay. By that I just mean you're going to get called a lot lighter, like if I open shove. This table's shaping up to be decent. I have a 60-20, 60-40, 60-20. So I think this might be a really good table. 2 overs and I got shot with a backdoor heart flush draw. I don't think I just want to get it in on this flop. I guess I could profitably. But I just think on this texture he's just going to have a strong draw, like an 8 or a top pair type hand. But I certainly don't mind floating and then just committing on any turn that improves our hand, which is like any heart, of course an 8. Maybe a 10. Well, 10 would be tough. An ace for sure. And a lot of times he'll just leave with an 8 and then he'll give up on the turn, and I'll just try and get a showdown. This does not improve our hand. I'll just fold. On some board textures I could just get it in there. Ace 10. I think it's slightly, maybe slightly plus EV or break even maybe to get it in on that flop with 2 overs and I got shot. And a backdoor flush draw. It's close. I probably could crev that one. This guy seems to be fairly aggressive, so he might be donk betting often. He could have a higher than average bet fold. He opens on the button. I have ace 10 suited. I have 2 limpers. 3 limpers. Wow, this is close. 35-13. Still in 1 out of 2. I think with $1, I think this is a good hand to do this with. I just think because of all this dead money, and he's got an aggression factor so far. I'm thinking maybe his steal range is a little wider than the preliminary looks like here. I think with the dead money and a robust hand like ace 10 off, so he can definitely ISO a weaker range than that. And you saw down here on the bottom right how we got this guy to call it off with jack 10 because we only had 50 something cents. That's what I was talking about earlier, is getting more value with the middle hands of your range. Fortunately, nobody has anything on that board, so we don't get any action with our 2 pair. I think we just check down and try to get the showdown here. No reason to bet. We have the best hand sometimes. I'm not gonna call a min bet. We have really no room to improve there. We had king 8 of diamonds I could sometimes call. I think I need to call bet for protection on this board. And sometimes value. I think this is one of those situations that I can't stack on the flop, and it really sucks to bet fold a top pair hand. I think I just need to check back and continue on safe looking turn cards. I'm not trying to get it in, because even if I get it in, I'm the best hand. They're going to have so much equity. So either I'm crushed when I get it in, or I'm way ahead. Or I'm sorry, barely ahead. This guy is the aggressive player. I could min raise this, but I think if I do that I've got a stack. So I think I'd rather let him just bet as a bluff, because he looks like he might be that type. He's the one that donk bet earlier. I'm definitely calling the river now, because the only time he would ever bet here is if it's a bluff or he has a boat. Either a boat or a bluff. I don't think he's going to do this with a flush. I guess it's possible. I don't know if I can get any value from him now though. Yeah, I don't think there's any value here. I mean, I guess an ace-high diamond draw could sometimes call. There's no guarantee. And unfortunately, we end up. Actually, we won. I thought we chopped. My apologies. But yeah, queens and eights with our kicker. 7 kicker. It actually played. It's pretty good.
Start your free trial at squarespace.com. When you're ready to launch, use offer code Spotify.
It's a good table. I'm going to stay on it.
Squarespace.
I'm going to 4x it because this is a really loose table. And I'm under the gun. I want to build a pot early with aces. I'm going to see a multi-way pot. I want a low SPR.
Fast and easy way to manage and ship all of your holiday orders from one place. With ShipStation, you'll get your online orders out.
I really see no value in betting here. It's going to be hard to get more than 1 or 2 streets of value from anything. I'd rather just check and let some of his hands that he think may be for value bet and some of his hands that are weaker than mine bet. I'm really not worried about a spade on the turn. I definitely think worse hands will bet here and think they're good, or if he has a 10, maybe I'll mitigate losing my whole stack, and I think betting for value on the river is good now.
Security, collaboration, and mobility. And they have local offices with engineers and solutions architects orchestrating IT solutions to help.
I think if he raises, it's just he has pocket 5s or 6s here.
So you can grow your business. CDW, people who get it.
I think it's hard for him to raise as a bluff there.
/services.
I can lead with equity on this turn. I could have led on the flop with equity. I have a double gutter. Actually, I have an open ender. Sorry. I had an open ender on the flop. I should have already bet, but whatever. I think that's a good card to continue on with him being in the small blind. He's probably going to fold a lot of his jacks. Of course, when he leads, that kind of changes matters. This is an overbet. Yeah, I don't know. Now we get raised. We have a 3 kicker on this ace high board. I mean, do we have to call it off here with trips? We bet small on the turn. I guess we could have induced something. I'm trying to think of what he could be doing this with. I mean, any ace is pretty much beating us, right? Yeah, his pocket 4s were pretty much screwed. Pocket 7s. Honestly, even in the limp pot, I don't think we could fold trips here. I guess I'll just have to make a crying call. And we're gonna chop it. Really strange. I mean, I'm glad to be chopping there, honestly. I mean, ace is the only thing that made sense. And we're chopping with very few of those. Against very few of those. Probably should have stayed on this table, but whatever. Didn't make my decision quick enough. I'm not gonna wait an entire revolution. We have a gut shot, and just very little showdown value. I think we have to just bet. Turn my volume down a little bit. That tinky noise is starting to get on my nerves. Actually, I'll just fast forward. This next song is called Nintendisco by Popsky on Spotify. Oh, I've heard this one before. It's actually a pretty good tune. I think I gotta bet this flop. It's bet fold. Definitely value to be had. And it's just a check back if we get that opportunity. A lot of times he'll just have a king here, but sometimes he'll have a 6 or jack 10 or a few hands, but I don't think there's anything to really get value from here. And we're definitely not getting value from the flush. The slow plays the river. that was a really good spot for him to actually lead the river. But that just shows how playing draws out of position, check calling is a really losing proposition, because once you get there, you're almost never getting paid off. And I think this is a ship here with the 8s versus a cutoff open for 1 raise. For only 28 big blinds. This guy is really tight. Not that we would ever continue. I mean, there's some players we continue with Jack 9 offsuit actually there, but that's not one of them. In fact, you won't have many opportunities on ignition to play that hand. It's just never a strong enough read. And this is just an obvious check back and give up spot unless we improve. On this deceptively draw heavy board. Against a couple of stationy possibly players. And he made our decision a lot easier. I just shipped a couple hands ago, so maybe because I might have a little looser image, I might get called a little lighter here. Nobody's free rolling, no blood. It's a pretty rare instance to be blind versus blind and both players have jacks. That's extremely rare. It's rare enough to be up against the same pocket pair, but blind versus blind, it's like infinitesimally small. I could be off base there, but I don't remember the last time that happened. I'm just going to assume we have the best hand here most of the time. And I think this is a bet and then check call river situation. If he has trip aces, good hand, sir. Unfortunately, he could have some 7s, but whether he'll value bet the 7 now, I don't know. I think if he bets here, a lot of times it's going to be 8-10. And unfortunately, he did have a hand that was drawing extremely thin versus us, but he got minimum value when he bet. So that's fine. It's kind of funny. I mean, what was he expecting? I guess he expected his 7 to be good sometime, but what if I bomb that river? Is he just going to call with his 7? Not that I would turn my hand into a bluff, but a lot of times I'll just have an ace there, and now he's just in this shit, has this shit decision on the river. And I guess it doesn't matter whether he has trips or just a 7, it's almost the same spot, but yeah, I think checking back here is good with showdown value and for draw. I think he would expect us to bet our big hearts, so a lot of the times we'll just have him be here. So I'm just going to check, I'm just going to call and then call again. I expect us to be good, like almost always here. That's exactly the type of hand I expect him to have. But nothing I can raise against. Just have to take whatever value I can get out of him and move on. I mean, I guess I could min raise that river. I think the jacks, there's really no other way to play this in this spot. It's a 4-bet, and I mean, I'm less than like 20 big blinds there. So when he calls, I think this is a lot of times just ace-king versus like ace-queen or something. Hopefully they just don't get there. It could be 9s or 10s or something like that as well. Wow, that's pretty funny. 9s or 10s? It's exactly 9s and 10s. Talk another one up for me, for my reads. Pretty scary when you play these games often enough, be able to put people on exact hands. I think I've done that a few times so far in these videos. It's just blind luck sometimes, but when you see so many showdowns over so long, you just start to expect to see certain hands when people make certain decisions with certain timing. And sometimes I just think it's subconscious when you make a read like that. Not that that read even mattered or had any decision, because my money's already in, obviously. I'm check shoving. Expecting to have the best hand most of the time here. Get led into with the top pair versus this slightly aggressive player. It's kind of a tough spot. I don't think I can call it off if he barrels off. I'm trying to think. There's definitely some drawing hands that can do this. King, queen, any flush draw. Maybe even sometimes 10x. So I think I at least have to peel one street. I mean, 8-9 got there. The fact that this guy called should make this guy slow down. So if he fires again, I think I can safely just fold my Jack-9 suited, honestly. I think this is an easy fold. Once he does that, he's just got it. If this guy had folded, it would have made this a lot tougher with that card because the draws did not get there. Now, he could have been sitting there with King, Queen still, or a big flush draw and done the same thing. More power to him if you had that. Good game, sir. He just got me. You know, there's nothing I can do there. I can't call it off in a three-way like that. I mean, I can, but I just don't think it's profitable. This guy just shipped it. Kind of strange. He just played the last hand so aggressively post flop, and now he's shipping. This is his first 3-bet though. I kind of just think I just got to give this guy credit. Maybe he's on tilt because he lost some big pot recently or something. Let's see if he's down. He's only down $1. It could be on another table, but once again, I'm not going to let short-term results or short-term plays that when it belies what my read is on him, just because he played aggressively post flop last hand doesn't mean that he has it this hand. Doesn't have it this hand. Ace Queen suited is probably the minimum hand I just go ahead and put it in with there. I think if I had 20 big blinds, I just put it in there, just with that small read that he may be on tilt. But I don't see a reason based on this table that he would be on tilt. I'm assuming being 77-18, he may be just playing one table anyway. This could be his entire bankroll. So, yep. I've been on this table a long time. I think this is a tough dynamic to play in. I think with the 3 full stacks to my right, I'm just going to go ahead and leave this table. Maybe get back on it later. If I could get this guy's spot, I would be very happy. I'm not going to ISO the, why is this here? I'm not going to ISO with the weak ace. I'm not a big fan of that unless it's suited and the 2 players behind me are extremely tight. Just plays shitty post flop. You get dominated sometimes. See if we can find another table real quick here. Nothing's going. That's okay. We got about 20 more minutes of cash, and then we will switch to some sit and goes. I haven't really gotten much feedback from you guys on whether you prefer the sit and goes or cash, or whether you like the way I do it now. I mean, obviously, if you like one or the other, you'll just tune in at 2 o'clock or whatever for the cash, and then like the sit and goes, you can just tune in an hour later and see those. I think playing both is advantageous to me because it's increasing my skill set in 2 separate areas, and both are important skill sets to have as a poker player. Heads up for sure, heads up tournament for sure, and 6max play in cash, both important skill sets to have. Of course, if you can beat 6max cash as high as 400 an L or so, you should be able to beat just about any other game in the world handily. So if you can beat 6max cash, you should be crushing any tournaments or sit and goes you play. Is what I'm saying. It's probably the toughest game in the world for no limit hold'em. Beat those games. That's why I always tell people the way to learn poker is 6max cash. Get to where you can beat that up to 100 an L, and you're probably gonna crush everything else, honestly. Especially tournaments, because all these post-flop plays that I make, and reads that I get they hold true in tournaments. The only thing you need to learn is playing a little bit of ICM on the final table or something, or you just learn to be aggressive around the bubble and take more chances. But other than that, it's just cash game poker when the blinds are deeper than 50 big blinds. I think, in fact, 30 big blind or 40 big blind short stack poker is the best way to learn how to play tournaments. Because if you can beat 6max cash game tournament for 30 to 50 big blinds, That's your wheelhouse in a tournament, right? That's where you're going to be most of the time. And if you're above that, it's just gravy. But most tournaments you play, especially online, you're going to be in the 30 to 50 big blind range most of the time, even 20. So you're going to have all these shove decisions, short decision, SPR of X decisions, that type of thing. And it just prepares you perfectly for those games. My HUDs are all screwed up on this table. Piece of crap. Put that there. Go ahead and check back the Queen 6 offsuit against this player. Could definitely ISO. I think I've done that a couple times versus him. We have showdown value here. I pick up an open ender, I'm definitely betting the turn. I'm going to min raise just to set up a bluff on the river. That's definitely a good card to bluff on the river. Normally it would not be a good card to bluff because most people realize I don't have any aces in my range, but this guy's 64-12. He's just going to see the big card, and a lot of times he'll just fold his 7 or whatever. I mean, the flush came in too. That makes it even better because he's going to think I had a flush draw on the turn too. So I have a credible story there against what this player sees as a credible story, and that's what you have to remember in poker. Is you have to, when you bluff or the part of your range that you have that is committed to bluffing needs to be by design geared toward your opponent's thought process toward what story you're telling. So if that was a regular player there, I would probably not continue and bluff that card just because, I mean, the club draw did come in, but I think he would expect me to bet differently, not min raise with a flush draw. So a lot of times he would just expect me to be full of crap there. And think his 7 was good. So maybe I wouldn't make that play against 50-20 or I'm sorry, 30-20 or something like that. Because he's going to be able to sniff out that a lot. Not that that type of player would limp often blind versus blind, I'm just saying. It's hard to get value here. I'm just going to min bet. Yeah. I mean, I guess I could even check there. No matter what I do there, if I ever bet or raise or anything, it's going to look strong. I guess I could just check to let him fire, but I think min betting is just as good as a check there. Because you're building a pot at least a little bit. A lot of times he'll just continue with his entire ace high or pairs range and think that you wouldn't min bet. Maybe because he would bet bigger with 3, so he thinks you can't have a 3. That is exactly what I was talking about in this situation up here. It works exactly the same. You got to think about what this guy thinks about your bet. And I've said this before, but in general in poker, this is a generality. But it applies just about to every situation. You always want to make your value bets look like bluffs. And your bluffs look like value bets. Just in general. I mean, it's not an all-encompassing thing. But yeah, I mean, if you just keep that in mind. And of course, there's a little I don't know if that's the right word. Not only do you have to make your bluffs look like value bets, you have to be able to show up with a value hand at that time as well. That's key. I'm just gonna bet 20 cents. I'm not gonna slow play there. I'm gonna bet a little bit less than half pot just because I think it opens up his range. I'm gonna go ahead and bet again. I might just barrel off in this spot. I'm gonna get another street of value out of a hand like 8s or a jack anyway. And now that he leads, I think I could just shove the river over his bet. I don't think raising the turn is smart there. In case he has a flush draw, I want to give him a chance to bluff again on the river. And it's just a matter of how much he bets, if he bets, whether I can just ship and get called. And I think there's nothing else to do here but bet half pot. I wasn't able to get my quads all in by the river, which is unfortunate. But I did give him, I think I maximized my chance to let him catch up a little bit. The queen is a good card, but a flush would have been much better. I think he just commits at that point. And honestly, with that card, I probably could have shipped, but I think against his overall range, which includes eights, I mean, any mid pair, small pair, and a Jack X hand, I think he's going to call with that half pot bet anyway. So unless he exactly has the hand he had, I'm not getting called by a ship. So you always have to think about the overall range and what your average income will be for each bet versus his overall range. And if more of his hands are just the mediocre hands, you want to bet smaller. If more of his hands are really strong hands, you want to bet bigger. That type of thing. That's why when in spots where he's either going to have nothing or he's going to have a strong hand and call, that's when you want to overbet. It's the same thing. You'll see me overbet quite frequently. So we're having one of those sessions where we're not playing a lot of big pots. We're just playing a lot of mediocre small pots, getting in some fairly tricky situations where this is one of those sessions where post-flop skill really helps. Anybody can play those big sessions where you have a lot of pre-flop action and all that stuff. Those are easy. It's the ones where you have all these technical decisions post-flop where you're maximizing value. That's where the skill really comes in, and that's most of your sessions, honestly. So we haven't been stacked yet, so I'm guessing we're up quite a bit this session. I don't think we've necessarily doubled up much either, but I think we've won quite a few small to medium-sized pots left and refreshed our tables. So that stuff really adds up. In fact, I've had these sessions where I got stacked. I lost like every flip, it seemed like. And I played like a 5 or 6 hour session. I'd be like, because those are the hands you remember. I'd be like, man, I lost every flip tonight. But then at the end of the night, I see how I did. And I'm somehow slightly up or even way up sometimes. I'm like, and then you look back over your session and realize you just won a ton of medium and small pots, not necessarily all ins. You just lost the all ins. Those are the most kind of gratifying nights that I have. I mean, obviously I would like to win all my all ins and win all my medium and small pots too, and just have a monster night. But when you think you're going to look at your bankroll at the end of the night and be down, because I usually don't check my bankroll during a session. I only do it at the end of the night. And sometimes I go for a whole week without looking at my bankroll. My online cashier. Most typically I wait till the end of the night. And then it's kind of like the big reveal. You close out your tables and boom, how did I do for the night? And sometimes you get surprised one way or the other. Like you feel like you're winning and you're actually losing. And other times you feel like you got owned and you're slightly up. And yeah, that's definitely I'd have to say my favorite result. Besides just being way up. I mean, obviously, winning a ton of money in a night has got to be your favorite. But close second would be thinking you lost. Because I guess money not lost is money won, right? It's a snap fold if this player 3-bets. Even in the cutoff here. Decent table, I guess. Short stack just set, and this guy's 68-11, so I'll stay here. This table would be decent if this freaking HUD would stop moving up here. I don't know what the hell's going on. And this table looks okay. 50-28, 36-17. I mean, these could be just unnormalized regs, I guess. But who knows? Yeah, so that's a pretty good flop. It's also one that's going to hit a few hands, and I think with the amount of money we're playing for here, so small that I think potting it is actually small enough of a bet to be fine. Most people, they only see 15 cents, they don't see that it's 15 into 15. So if he's going to continue with 10 cents, he's going to continue with 15. I mean, even 20 cents here, so I don't mind. I actually like to see you guys playing the penny stakes, micro stakes. Bet bigger on your leads when you have it. That's a pretty miserable card, but I think we just have to bet. Do we bet call it off? Or do we just check call? I think check calling is better because that card's going to slow him down sometimes. So if he has a hand like a 6 or a 5 or some kind of draw, he's not going to... That's actually a really good card. Now a 3 got there, I think. Actually, a 3 was already there. So yeah, we're pretty much just bluff catching here. Yeah, and that's the most likely result. He's probably got a hand like 6 ace or something like that. He could even check back something like 2 pair there, so hard to get value from worse there. So I mean, I guess I could like bet fold. He actually had ace 3, he had a straight, so that sucks. I wish I had bet now, but whatever. I think he actually bets that sometimes though. So I'm not really... I thought straight's my bet there. But whatever. We didn't get max value, but I don't... Against his overall range, I really don't know how to play differently. It's hard for him to have a 3 there, honestly. This guy's really tight. So normally I would ship in this spot because this guy's so tight. But I think with this player in the big blind, I want to call and give him a chance to come in. And then obviously just get it in on any flop. Except for this one. We'll just call any lead. Because it's hard for anybody to have anything here. Hopefully this player has like deuce 3. I think he just checks all his kings, queens, jacks, 10s. If he has the case ace, it's going in anyway. So once again, I'm just trying to keep this player in. Hopefully this player now has jacks. I had a feeling he's just going to put it in here. I don't see any reason to raise. Hopefully he has kings. Do I ship? It's only 86 cents. I think his most likely hand here is either like king queen, but now likes his hand. I could see that betting the turn. Could be like queen jack. So what are we gonna? If we ship, we're probably not getting value from queen jack. So I think 41 cents gets value from all of his jack x, king x hands, maybe even pocket 10s. But I think shipping only gets called by pocket kings or pocket jacks, and I think he bets those. So I think for against what he typically has there, I think that's the best thing we can do. This guy's not that aggressive, so I think we can go ahead and put it in with aces. He hasn't 3-bet yet. Wow, 6-5. Don't do it to me. Don't you do it to me. Okay. That's a good result. Obviously, when you win, it's a good result. So it's almost 3:30. I'm gonna go ahead and switch to sit and goes. Just check and I give up on this board. Unless it's like a men bet, I might call 1-3. We have clean 4 outs. This player check backs. I just think he's got some kind of small pair and he's trying to get to showdown, or he could have like king jack or something. So a king on the river would be pretty damn awesome. But I'm not worried about that. Sometimes we'll have the best hand here. And we'll often have the best hand now. We have the best hand. Go us. Yeah, you know you're having a decent session when you win those. So we started the session at 44. Let's see what we're at after I close this last table in the top right here. I'm going to go ahead and waitlist a heads up turbo. Go. As you can see in the top left over the graph, I'm registering the tournament. And we are registered. So it looks like we're close to cracking, what, are we at 47, 48? Close to cracking $49 after this session, so that means we're up about $5. That's over 3 buy-ins in an hour. That's pretty good. Not going to complain about that. So it's nice to have a run good cash game session. I think we won yesterday also. I think we were down 2 days ago. We'll take 2 wins to 1 loss, and you could tell me I'm going to do that. 2 out of every 3 win. I would accept it right now and go on in life very happy.
Howdy folks, Colonel Sanders here, introducing KFC's new $10 chicken share. It's a bucket for 2, so when you and a friend, family member, or total stranger...
What do we do on the last hand here? Limp shove? That sounds good. We have a couple of aggressive players potentially here. Yeah, I think either open shoving is good, but I think with this dynamic, limp shoving is probably best. And whatever, if we hit a 6-way limped pot, that's fine as well. And obviously against this 100 player, of course that's over 2 hands now. Just limp shove. Can we get it in versus 10s? Can we hit? And we hit. How about a 6? That'll work. Alright, so we don't lose an all-in. We had to hit a river to not lose an all-in that session, but we did it. We went an entire session, an entire hour without losing 1 all-in. Unless I just can't remember one. Correct me if I'm wrong there. So let's see what our bankroll's at. Okay, we're just short of $50. That would be pretty awesome to finish today around $50. So do we book it, or do we go ahead and play some sit and goes? Nah, let's play some sit and goes. So we're still waiting for somebody to sit with us. So hopefully that happens fairly quickly here. And there we go. You ask and you shall receive. Let's do this. So we'll either play for an hour, or we'll play till we win 4 in a row. Whichever happens first. Of course, it might take an hour to play that many. We have a gut shot, and a lot of times he'll just hate this board. We also could get some floats from some ace highs, and then get him off it by the river. I think we have to peel 1 straight. There's so much value in hitting a straight. If he happened to have ace deuce here, and we hit our straight, we're just going to end the tournament right now. So I think calling 1 straight is fine. A lot of times he'll just give up once he does that. I think we could just pretend like we have some kind of showdown value now and check back, and then value bet the river. Ostensibly value bet the river, if that's the right word. Yeah, I think we're not necessarily going to get him off a 6 here, but we can try. Yeah, he has a 6. I thought we could get him off all of his bluffs that beat us, so that's merely the main reason for betting there. I thought there was some chance he would sometimes fold a 6, but not to be. And we have equity here, so I think we just have to bet. We're just going to barrel off. And if he calls us down with like a 6, a 5, or something, we'll just mark him as a calling station and proceed accordingly. So he showed that he can fold pre-flop. That's a good. It's not necessarily a good sign, but it's only a good sign if he does it often. Just have to check give up sometimes. I think this is a good spot to do it. Very little equity. You let us see a free flop. That's about all you can hope for there. Just going to continue building the image of basically stealing every hand. Gonna gonna bet with my pair and expect to have the best hand. We get raised. Last time he did this, he had top pair. So I think there's a lot of value in calling. Try and hit an 8 or a 4. And if he plays it the same way he did last time, he'll just try and check it down now. So it gives us a free card to hit our 8 or 4 again. We do hit a 4, so now we can value bet. And fairly big too, because he's not going to fold a queen. He's already seen us bluff once, so we're just going to get value here every time, just about. And I'm interested to see if he actually had a queen, because if he called with less than that, we can go with our station read. So let's see. He did have a queen jack. So I think with it being a limped pot, we can just check call. 3 streets most of the time here. And I think he might call us with like a 9, or if he happened to river a jack. But no, he just happened to have nothing. Or could have had a semi-bluff, I guess. And just keeping up the aggressive image. Not that jack 6 wouldn't be in our range anyway. So we flop a monster here. We're just trying to get the money in. We're just going to bet. Hope he raises with a 6 and we can free roll. Or be ahead free rolling. If he had something like 9-6 and got in, that would be pretty awesome. Because he's got 2 outs, I believe. Yeah, I don't know what his 5xing range is. I'm assuming it's something like jacks or ace queen. That's typically what most weak players do with those hands, if you see that kind of bet sizing. Because they don't know how to play those hands. I flop a gut shot. He seems like he's playing pretty straightforward, so I'm just going to c-bet with equity. It's not a good card to continue on. Back. I'm not going to rep anything just because I don't think he folds anything. Except maybe some of his weird floats, which I don't know how many of those he has. I think he just has a 6 when he does that. That's the majority of his range. I guess he could sometimes have 4-5, but I have a 4 blocker to that. I think we have showdown value here a lot. I like to protect my hand. I'm just going to bet the king 4. I'm certain he raises a lot of his aces, so I think we just have the best hand. And he is playing most hands now. He's 90-10. So we can continue with our... I think we can slightly tighten up our button range because of that. And just so we can hit more flops. We want to lean towards hands that flop more. And it's easy to get in the habit of raising too often. I mean, it's good to have him playing out of position, but I think it increases the variance if he's not folding often. You need some fold equity. Once he calls, I think I'm just going to give up here. Just try to get to showdown. I think it's just a lot of times it's just a slow play here when he calls. I mean, I can't think of what he would call with. Honestly, so either a king or a better 4 a lot of the time when he calls, or a flush draw. I think he's playing pretty straightforward, so I'm just going to keep that read going and play accordingly. We flop a big hand against this player. Lots of worse kings out there. We're just going to bet and probably just get it in, because he's shown that he'll raise a top pair, so I could definitely see him raising with like king. Can't really call a raise on the turn, however, although a deuce usually doesn't change things. I'll bet a little bit smaller, just to encourage him to continue to call. He does have some 6s in his range, but I think we could just bet fold the river for like 120 and try and get value from a 7 or a worse king. And I'm imagining he had something like ace 7 or something. Hopefully he's on tilt from that. Oh yeah. So he actually had ace high the last hand. Kind of interesting. He called me down. You don't believe me? Here it is. Oh yeah, I'm gonna blow up the table here for you. So I don't see any reason other... I think just shipping is probably the best play here. Ouch. That's pretty painful, guys. Oh, that's pretty painful. Okay. Continue forward. Ouch. Kings on one hand, aces on the other, and we lose 1,000 chips. Not much you can do, guys. So just continue on with our edge here and see what happens. I'm going to pot it, try and build a pot with my straight, expecting this to hit him often. Wow, so kings, aces, and now a straight, and we are down chips. Poker is not fun sometimes, but at least we had the big chip lead when that happened, so not really a big deal. Much better that happened now than on the second hand of the tournament. Just going to min bet with deuce to protect my hand here and give up at that point once he calls. Expecting sometimes he's not going to bet his flush draws and we can just take it to showdown and he'll have ace high and we'll win. Yep. I imagine he had some kind of ace or king high here. Maybe a heart draw too. Could find out. We know he's just raising and getting in with sevens. But when he raises big, he just has a hand he's committing with. I'm assuming he's committing with that as well. And he did have ace high in the last hand. He seems to love those ace highs. I think I'm a little too deep here to overbet shove, and he's not going to fold to an ISO, so I think I'll just play a small pot with my ace 9 out of position. And obviously with the open ender, flush draw, backdoor flush draw will lead. Obviously the king queen is a strong hand, we'll play that. I don't think we can just get it in though against this player. I think he's picking probably top 5% hands to get it in with, whatever that may be. Maybe even, I think king queen's probably top 10%. I'm once again just checking back. And now this is a good check give up board with this part of our range. I guess part of our 100% range. Well, 80% range maybe. 85. Suited hands I'm going to raise. 7-3 offsuit I'd probably just give up here. I think this is a good board to c-bet just because he's going to hate it most of the time. If he continues here, it's just give up. Now if I had 9x and this was a 9, I would continue betting, but I'm not going to. I think he just has an 8 here, an ace often enough that I can just give up on the river. No draws out there. He could have a king high that we beat, but most of the time he'll just have an 8. He thought about betting his counterfeited 2 pair, but decided not to. This guy's very easy to play against. It's like he plays every hand pretty much face up, so unless we get highly unlucky here, we should take this one down. Thinking about thin value against ace highs for a min bet. I think he's the type of player that's going to bet most of his pairs before then. Hopefully he has 10s and we can get doubled up here. Yeah, hopefully he doesn't have better than jacks. We'll take a flip here though, it's fine. Okay, we'll take that. Wow, okay. So we'll definitely play this guy again if he wants to crap. Okay, so we were highly lucky in that tournament once again. We've been running pretty bad in these lately, as you all know if you've been watching. But there's already somebody seated in the next one. It's available, so I'm going to go ahead and sit that one. We'll get one going right away here, hopefully. Yep, here we go. Yeah, so that was pretty frustrating. I mean, that's just going to happen. There's nothing you can do. That's what keeps these players coming back when they can win, when they're overmatched. You know, I had, what, kings versus 7s, and he wins, and then I have 57% hand with jacks there, and I win. And I lose maybe 45% for him. I'm going to check it down on the first hand. It'd be nice if this is the same player, but it's highly unlikely. He would have just accepted the next one if it were him. This might be a straightforward player. We'll see. It usually takes about 10 hands to get a good read on somebody though, so belay that. His limping buttons. It's a pretty dry board. I could lead that sometimes. Pick up some equity, so I'm going to go ahead and lead the turn just to see how he reacts to it. And any card higher than a 7 on the river, I'll go ahead and fire again. Of course, any flush completing, things like that. Of course, if I hit an 8. I'm seeing a trend develop. I build like these big chip leads in these things, and then lose a dominating all in. Then chip up, and then lose another all in. Hopefully that's not a trend. He 3-bets for the first time. I'm going to continue raising a wide range until he shows me he's 3-betting off. Then that's 2 in a row. This one is a min raise. I'll continue. I just hope to flop something big. Give up otherwise. We had a plan pre-flop. We were just going to try and connect heavy to this board. Did not happen, so we'll just give up and move on to the next hand. Not sure what he's doing there. Could be a misclick. Who knows? Gonna lead with 2 overs. I think sometimes he'll just have ace high here and give up by the river. Pick up some equity, so good card, and I think we just have to barrel off. I hope he doesn't have like a 3 or 4 in calls. Most likely hand there was just an ace X he was trying to hit a straight with. I guess he could have 2 overs and a gut shot to the flop as well. If he 3-bets too often, we may go to a limp strategy here eventually. We have a modicum of showdown value here, so I think we can check back and play a turn. He pots it. Not sure what to think of a pot size bet yet, but this does hit a ton of hands. I think this is one we can give to him. I think we only want to build big pots when we have an advantage, obvious advantage. Otherwise, just play small ball. I'm going to continue and defend with this hand. If I have a gut shot, definitely going to check call 1 street. This board's much better for my calling range than it is his opening range generally. So I think he'll give up a lot on this turn and I can just fire the river. If he bets, I'll just give it up. I mean, this is an okay way to play until you find out that he's barreling off light. If that was the case, check calling is not good there. Check raising would be better. But he is potting it, so kind of tough to do that because you're building a pot. And most players, when they pot it, they just have it. Not necessarily. Some people just see the pot button, they think that's what they have to bet. Yeah, we'll fire any card on this river just because he hasn't shown any strength. And he's likely to bet any pair, so any river we can just pretty much take it down with our 4 high, unless he just happened to connect. So he min 3-bets again. I'm not sure. He's definitely got to be doing it. Doesn't have to be doing it light, but I think he is quite often. Yeah. I think he's going to hate this board a lot. Just going to fold to a lot of flops. Like if he had a mid pair or something like that, he's just going to give up. Unless he happens to have a diamond with it. Or he could be slow playing something as well. I guess we'll find out soon enough, right? I think if we fire the flop, we have to fire the turn again. Just to give him a chance to fold. I think he gives up a lot of the time now with his pocket pairs below a king. Unless he has a diamond with him, he wants to get stubborn. I mean, that's possible too. Could very well just be slow playing here as well, you know. And he's block betting now. Not sure what he could be doing that with. Wow, I hate to do this, but I think I have to. I'll leave myself enough to still play with if I lose. Just looks like I can't be bluffing here. So if he doesn't, even some aces he should be folding here. If he calls, we still have 580 chips. If he makes a hero call with 10s or something, good game, sir, good hand. Now we have to try and come back. But my story's pretty believable here. I called a 3-bet. An ace high board comes. Wow. Oh, he hit 2 pair on the river. That really blows. Yeah. So I think like 90% of the time we win that pot, unfortunately, because he's going to give up on the river when we bet again. He even thought about folding 2 pair there, which I guess is good. We have showdown value, so I think I'm going to protect. But we did leave ourselves enough to play with. Now we have a good reputation as being bluff heavy here, so maybe we'll get some, we call it light here later on. Yeah, I like our play there. It's a good thing we didn't ship, because I think he ends up calling that as well. Just very highly unfortunate, because if a king comes on that river, I'm not going to play that bluff that way. I think his range did include a lot of kings. Excuse me. So yeah, hopefully we can win this all in. Get back in this thing. They will see something like sixes here. That was a pretty big open, was it not? To give up? 240 was it? Unless I read that incorrectly. Yeah. A lot of times players like this will, when they get a big lead, they'll play a lot more aggressively and get it in lighter. Of course he didn't call that last one off, he probably just had crap. Yeah, he's 120. Maybe that's what he did last time, but it's still 4x. I think we just have to be patient here. We're going to call it off if we 3-bets here or just put it in. I'm going to check back with my showdown value. Actually, you know what? I'm going to bet. I think he just turns his hand face up if he bets or check calls. I'm just going to fold to a lead. The fact that he already called 2 straights with just a king earlier makes me less likely to want to bluff. I'm going to check shove this. I'm just going to bet 2 straights for value. And can I bet fold? I think he bets all of his flush draws on the flop. I'm not really worried about a flush. I guess he could have straight. I think I have to call this. Wow, that's weird. Not sure why he would check back his flush draw as aggressive as he's been playing. So that's unfortunate. That's a bad river, I think. Yeah, I think if it doesn't come an 8 there, we can get away cheaply. It's just a diamond of any other card. So, I guess we have to shove the 8s with only 280 pips. I guess with only 10 big blinds, we have to open ship the 8s again. Sucks to be at 10 big blinds with blinds this low, but I think you still have to stick to your strategy. Of course, he is very 3-betty, but I think he's going to be less 3-betty now because we're so short. He'll know who'd be committing himself. I think we have to peel for a min bet. And hopefully it just goes to showdown now. I think checking is best. He might call with just a 10 here, but I think we're mostly running into an 8. We get raised on this river. And if he has an 8, it's just unfortunate. I mean, what are you going to do here, right? I think we just have to pay it off and move on. I don't think we can make a boat on the river and fold heads up. He's going to have an 8 quite a bit here. But we're pretty much dead in the water if we fold anyway. So I'm just going to pay him off and be done with it. Yep, I figured that was the case most of the time. We will play this guy again if we can. Hopefully he's willing to. Yep, he decided to play us, so... Man, we're getting so... I feel like we're running into so much variance in these things. Of course, that's the nature of these, I guess. I guess the fact that we won 8 straight kind of lulled me into a false sense of security. But I have been a little unlucky. I mean, to be heads up and run into boat over boat, highly unlikely. To be heads up and have him not bet a flush draw and then the flush comes in when I have trips, highly unlikely. What else are you going to do? I'm going to protect my hand. Maybe get value from worse. I think he can raise just a straight flat flush draw. I don't think he has to have an ace here. Yeah, he probably has a flush now. I guess it was a bluff raise. It's a weird bluff raise. But we'll take it. Lapa got shot. Really check raisey. And he leads. I don't give a lot of credit to this. But then again, I just have a good shot. But I think a 10's good sometimes, so I think I have to peel one street. Obviously a good turn card for us because we pick up the flush draw as well. Hopefully he just has 2 pair here or a set, and we just get it in. Not that he doesn't 3-bet most of his pairs pre-flop. We raise now. I think we have to raise because there's a lot of scare cards on the turn for him. I mean, on the river. I raise to 440 and hope he ships. Yep. Okay. If we don't get it in, that's okay. We still have the chip lead again. Now we're just going to try and play small ball and chip away. I mean, chip our stack up. This is a good card for us. I'm going to lead. And probably just check call the river now. Yeah, it makes sense. Sometimes he won't bet that though, and sometimes he'll just have a big club when he bets there, so I think our check call is fine. Especially since he only min bet. I'm going to go ahead and fold to 9-7. Looks like whenever he does this, he's looking to commit pre-flop. So hopefully we'll pick up a hand we can play back at him with. He does fold to steals sometimes, so I think we can still keep stealing wide. Definitely opening the king deuce. This is just a crap board for c-betting. If he leads, I'll just fold. Yeah. But he's just trying to get it in with his 9x or 10x or whatever he has. That board connects with a variety of ranges. It's hard not to connect with that board, honestly. Even us, we had like backdoors, so not gonna get cute on this. Pick up a gutter, but I'm just gonna check here. Yeah, he 4x bet that pot. I mean, we're just gonna have to catch him. I mean, I guess that straight we had earlier, seems like he's really bluffy now, so he's been known to check raise light, so I don't see a reason not to bet and just get it in here. I'm gonna play my hands pretty straightforward against this player, not try to get too tricky. I think he's gonna build pots for us when we have it, so. Going back to his little min raise thing. So we checked second pair last time. I think I would rather just... We have a little bit of showdown value. He doesn't have to have us beat here, honestly. He could definitely have something like a small suited connector or a small pair that we have equity against as well. I can't really bet this card. It's not credible, I don't think. Unless we had queen jack or something. I mean, I think he's just going to have ace high here a lot, but I think he might call with ace high sometimes. Actually, you know what? I think I have to bet to try and get him off. But he's not going to fold any showdown value at the same time. There's just so much that connects with a 3-betting range here. I think I just have to check back. And he did have the small suited connector, which was also the first part of his range that I thought would play it that way. But we actually went with the queen high. He's going to be kicking himself there. Not betting at any point. I'm just going to protect. I know this is not as good against this player because he is capable of bluff raising on a limped pot. But I still think you need to protect sometimes. And I mean, he can also call with 4 and we hit a 6 or something on the turn. Some good turn and rivers. It's a pretty dry board. It's one that he's going to check raise often. So I'm just going to check back like I have showdown value and play accordingly. We have the best hand here often. I think we can protect it by betting 60. And I think we'll just take our hand to showdown now. I don't think anything that calls the turn is going to now fold the river necessarily. I guess a lot of his range is Jack X here. I don't know whether he's thinking about bluffing this river or whether he probably just had something that now has a value. And now he double pots it again. I would love to have a hand I could call here with so I could find out what he's doing that with. Because either it's a bluff or it's the nuts. It's very polarizing when he does that. But I think we could just continue playing small ball poker. And he's eventually going to just dump his chips off to us again. Hard to see what he's repping here, but whatever. Obviously going to raise the Jack 10 suited. Happily see a flop. And he pots it, so we'll just fold. Might have to start challenging some of his limps a little bit with hands like this, and see how, just to see how he reacts to it. So I'm not sure whether he's limping to call or whether he's limping just to play a minimum pot in position after a raise. I'll have to find that out. I'm going to check back here and then raise the turn. I don't want to get bluff raised off my hand. I think it just plays easier this way, trying to get to showdown. I have the best hand often. Unfortunately, the board apparently connects with his hand. We'll have to give it up. That's frustrating. Because most of the time we'll just either have the best hand here or he will fold a hand that's slightly better than ours. I'm going to go ahead and challenge his limp and just to see how he reacts. And now that he's folding, I'll definitely, some of my medium to stronger strength hands I will do that with. I'm not going to let him just limp every button. Last hand I decided to raise his turn lead, so I think I'll just play more straightforward now. On this, basically the same situation. Last time I didn't want to get check raised off my hand. There's a lot of hands in his range that could bluff raise in that spot. I think we just have to bet for value now and hope he has a king. Or 8-9 or a flush draw that he'll continue with.
If you're ready to experience your future now, we've got your playlist, Future Now, brought to you by Johnson & Wales University. It's packed with
Not going to defend the 8-3 suited.
about tomorrow. At Johnson & Wales University, students are doing what they love today, so they can excel at it tomorrow. Hands-on classes, internships around the world, and teachers who bring their real-world experience right into your classroom. So get listening and get started on your future today.
We don't have any showdown value, so we have to bet. Go ahead and do that. And not the best turn card to barrel. So we'll just let him have this one. Really not much we're getting him off of if we raise. And it wouldn't be really a credible story for us to raise this river anyway. We certainly would call if we had hit a 9. He hasn't shown to be very stabby, really, thus far, so I think he checks back a lot of his air here and we just get to showdown. So he once again double or triple pots that. It's kind of strange. I'm assuming he just has it when he does that, trying to get max value. I just don't know. Guess we'll find out one day when we have it when he does that. He does it a lot. I'm gonna continue raising. We have to see bet this high, low, low board. Sometimes we'll have the best hand here, in fact. We've bet big and gave up before. Check back for showdown value, and we probably have the best hand. I don't know that we can get him off a 6 here. He might be block betting with like a 6. I've already shown that I can bluff raise. I don't really want to bluff raise him here, but he could definitely have 7, 8. He could also have ace high that he floated with. I think there's more hand combinations that are beating us here. I mean, usually when he bets 100, he's not bluffing, he's just block betting. And I've raised him before, although he did call with 2 pair. I just don't give him credit for being able to fold a 6, honestly. Especially since we showed that bluff earlier. If we hadn't have done that, we definitely would have bluff raised that river. I think it's a great spot to do that. Now I'm just gonna have to barrel off when I pick up the spade draw. And I think he calls with a jack and folds everything else. Hopefully. I mean, the fact that we showed that bluff earlier does make this less likely to work. But we're betting, I mean, we have a credible story here. I think when he tanks, he's going to call. We'll have to deal with 655 chips here, unfortunately. I don't think he's tanking to fold, honestly. Well, okay. I don't know what he would have had there. Maybe 7s or something. He was slow playing pre-flop. I don't know, but we'll take it. Definitely not concerned about our showdown value being good there. So we had to play our hand as a bluff. Yeah. This is just not the dynamic. I'm going to try and get him off of a hand on one street. I think we just have to conserve. Blinds are starting to go up. And obviously we'll raise the ace deuce suited. I'm just thinking maybe he's due for a 3-bet here. Obviously we're hoping he has an ace here. Remember, I didn't know what this lead meant. I don't know whether just to go ahead and ship here and hope he just snaps it off with a flush draw or a worse ace. Or we just got a call here. That shit card. We can't make 2 pair and just give up here though. And obviously that's a good river for us, so now we're hoping he slow played a flush. I think we'll just bluff raise like we did earlier. Hope he calls us. I don't think he's folding an ace. He's probably not folding a 5, and he's certainly not folding a flush. The only thing he's folding here that he would have led with is a complete airball. There's no way he's folding an ace here. Or a 5. So he must have just had a complete airball on the flop. Once again, overbets. I'm not sure what the overbet really means for him, especially on a limp pot. Unless he's just slow playing and then he connects with the flop. That's all I can think of. Once again, he did it the last hand and we didn't get to see a showdown. I'm just check back and under rep my hand. And hopefully we get him to fire a couple streets here. That would be nice. Maybe he thinks he's value betting with a jack now. I don't know. So yeah, he's value betting with a 10. Probably not calling a raise. So. Yeah, interesting. Not gonna defend with the king 4 suited. So this is back to the min raise again. I think we have to call and just stack on any board we connect on. We have showdown value. I'm just gonna check a little bit more showdown value. Yeah, he could be doing this with with better ace highs. So I hate to call, but I think I have to peel one street. It's gonna suck if he has like ace 9 here. Do I go for value? What can call us if we ship here? Pocket 10s? Definitely not gonna bet the flop, right? I almost want to see what he's min 3-betting with. Okay, queen jack. So hands probably that flop well he's min 3-betting with. Information's a little too late now though in the game, I guess. Whatever, right? I mean, that makes sense. I understand a lot of players doing that. They just want to take the lead. He's one of those type of players. I either got a ship or fold here, so I'm going to fold to 6 high. Probably okay. He's just looking for a hand to ship right now. So I think he's going to fold sometimes. Definitely can get the king 4 in. So he call me with king 3 suited here would be nice. Yeah, that's fine. See if we can hold. Looks like we're going to hold, and boat will work. I don't really want to play this player again. He's tough to play. I'm not saying he's good, but he's a little tough to play. He's not playing anyway. So I think we have time for one more. Definitely play one more here. If we can get it going quick enough. Yeah, there's already somebody seated at the table, so if we could just jump in real quick. Go ahead and play one more. And we can get back even on sit and goes today if we win. But I think we just guaranteed ourselves of being up for the day, so that's a good thing. So either we'll be up $4 or we'll be up $6, I think. Either way is a good day. And I'm assuming this is a new opponent, unless the other guy was sitting on 2 tables at once. So the competition has definitely changed over the last 5 or 6 of these. We were playing a lot of passive check call-y or players that were too tight. Now we're playing a lot more aggro-ish, fluffy maybe, more difficult to play players or doing unorthodox things. I definitely prefer just to play the passive players. They're the most profitable ones to play against. The high VPIP, passive, see a lot of flop type players. I guess the first player we played tonight was like that. He was extremely easy to play against. But the guy we played 2 straight there against, yeah, not my favorite. I mean, if we were playing higher stakes, I would definitely want to play that guy all day, but I think for playing $1 tournaments, we want to stick to as loose and fishy as we can. So paired boards are usually not the best to barrel, in my opinion. Just because it should make people's hand values go up ones that don't include the paired, because it's just unlikely for somebody to have the trips. And I'm sure there's people out there that makes it a lot scarier for them when it... So they're probably at least going to call one more straight. Not really looking to get it in with Jack 7 here. I think checking back. There's a lot of hands we're beating that that has a lot of equity against us. And now if he has 8-9, he just has 8-9. Still just going to call and then reevaluate the river. Could go for a small raise fold here. And now just bet value. Expecting him just to have something with showdown value he can call with. 7x, 10x, something like that. Probably got pretty good max value out of that. Wow. He actually had Queen Jack. We got extremely lucky in that hand. We sucked out on the turn when the 7 hit. Or did we flop the 7? I can't remember. Did we flop the 7? I can't remember. That's how good my memory is. Either way, we got lucky. I think... Not sure what to think about a lead from this player. I think we just have to min-raise fold. Either we're getting it in crushed. Because I think he can do this sometimes out of tilt, and then he'll fold to a raise. It just defines our hand a lot better, and potentially gets value from worse. I mean, I could see him having just a naked flush draw there and calling our raise as well, if he's a passive type player. That's a good situation. I think we'll just give him a chance to put the rest in. Maybe he'll just frustration call it off now. Maybe it's a little early for that, but definitely not going. I guess I could have thirded my stack there for a 4-bet, but I think he's gonna either. I don't think he's gonna call the. I think he's probably gonna fold this or call the same range either way. So let's go ahead and just try and see all 5 cards right off the bat. This connects with a lot of ranges. I'm not gonna do anything with 5 high here, unless it goes 5-5 or deuce deuce. I guess if a queen or an 8 hits the river, I'll bet. Oh yeah, this will be our last game we play. It's probably be 4:30 about the time this one gets done. We may discuss a few things for a few minutes after we get done. But other than that, this guy's not stealing wide enough really to ship this. I think now just check call. I guess there's some worse aces in his range. Could have a 10 or something when he checks back here, some kind of pair that he'll call a couple streets with. That's weird. He certainly could have something like 10-5, 10-6, 5-4, something like that. I think we can't fold an ace here though. He turns his second pair into a bluff. Very interesting. Not a big fan of folding top pair once we under rep our hand against this player type. It's already 3-bet folded us one time, so we may have to call it off here. Do I just ship? He has 24 big blinds now. We'll just see a pot. I'm assuming I have the best hand. I'll play it accordingly. If he has an ace, good game, sir. I think he raises his aces most of the time. He could potentially have a better king. He typed his bet in there. Usually that means strength a lot of the time, but he has quad aces. You just got me. I don't think he's going to call anything but a jack, but he did show that he went for thin value, so maybe he'll bet a jack now. But yeah, I just think he has nothing right now. If I look at his hand history and see a jack, I'll be sad. Kind of got him on the ropes here, so we got him cornered. So he had a 4-3 on the last hand. We got to just kind of play cautiously and just not build big pots without big hands, because or reasonably strong hands, because I think he's going to widen his range for putting it in here, and we just don't want to put ourselves in a weird spot with a marginal hand. Like this. So I'm just going to continue min raising, and I'll fold to a 3-bet. I think he's playing pretty straightforward, probably nut camping now as well. We'll keep that in mind. We'll defend the jack 8 unless he pots it or something. I'm not going to do a reverse float on him or anything right here. I'm just going to fold this bet. I'm going to stab one street with my jack high, maybe get him off ace high, or some kind of small pocket pair. I mean, as long as he's going to keep folding, I'm going to keep raising. I may even go to 100% here. He's got a pretty strong hand probably here, so I'm just going to fold. Anytime a player pauses like that, and after they've been acting quickly the whole game, either they're on the toilet or they have a strong hand generally. Deciding whether to shove his ace-7 or whatever it was. He's probably picked up a couple hands here in a row. We've lost 90 chips because of it, so good for us. This could be close to a call sometimes, but he still has 22 big blinds, so I don't think we have to. So if we call and we lose, we'll have about 17, 1800. I don't see any reason to double him up right now. If he had 15 or less big blinds, I would seriously consider the queen jack. King jack would certainly be a call there. Just because he shoves 3 hands in a row doesn't mean he's necessarily got it.
All of the candidates came to my dashboard, and it's easy to compare
So,
them.
And I couldn't believe the number of great applicants we got.
a pretty dynamic board. We do have a 10 here though, which is a blocker to some hands he could be playing back at us with. So if he raises, he normally just has it. Once again, I don't give him credit for check calling, check folding on a pairing board. I'm just going to give it to him here.
For the perfect holiday gift. This season, she'll hear Christmas carols, sleigh bells.
We just weather the little storm here of his tirade.
Diamond stud earrings will really be music to her ears. This Christmas, find her the perfect.
I'm definitely defending the king 7 suited, and we'll start with a check call here.
You can have it all with Verizon.
Expecting him to give up a lot.
Surprise over.
He pots it.
$40 per line per month, 20 gigs. And now buy a Pixel.
Seen him pot it yet. Not sure what he's doing this with. Could be something like 10-8 or jack 10.
12 gig promo plan plus 2 gigs bonus data per line.
He'll give up if it's called.
$400 trade-in credit applied over 20
These ships will just fold.
phone in good working and cosmetic condition. Bonus data and credits start in 3 cycles. Subject to VZW agreements, calling plan and credit.
It's okay.
This holiday season, delight the one you love with
I'm not sure why he just suddenly got like mega aggressive. Because the first, I mean, was at 600 chips for a long time without being aggressive. It seems like he suddenly just got a bug up his ass or something. This is a good flop for us. It's not one that we can really check back though. I think we just have to call. So he has nothing and we win. So maybe he was bluffing all those times, but good game, sir. We have 10 minutes. I would have considered playing that guy again, but I guess we won't because he's gone. Okay, so let's see how we did for the day. Looks like we cracked $50. There we go. Pretty sweet, huh? So we started at 25, was it 12 days ago? And we've doubled our bankroll now, so we're at $50.54. I think 100% increase to your bankroll every 12 days would be a good result for us. Starts to add up pretty quick when you do that. So I'm not saying this is going to happen, but you know, double your bankroll twice a month is within the realm of possibility because I don't feel like I'm running like God or anything. Right? I just feel like I'm running normal. Not great, not bad. I mean, I'm actually running pretty bad in cash games. If you look, I'm down $8 in EV right now in cash games. So honestly, if I'm even in EV, I'm sitting at $58 right now. We're about to move up to 10 and L. So with that being said, I think doubling up twice a month, although I'm not going to say it's going to happen, we're going to have a downswing at some point. It's inevitable. But say it did happen, we happen to run good like that. So we'd be at, by the end of this month, we'd be at what, $100? End of January, middle of January, 200, 400 by the end of January. And playing 100 NL by the middle or end of February. So it's not that far away, guys. I mean, if we just run like we're running right now and have no giant downswings, we could potentially be playing 200 NL by spring. I hope. That would be awesome, right? And high stakes by summer. And pawning the world. I'm not going to get too far ahead of myself. We're sitting here at $50. So yeah, I guess I'm just going to go ahead and end this session. If anybody has any questions, feel free to email me, jim@automaticpoker.com, or you can tweet me at automaticpoker, or you can get me on Facebook, also /automaticpoker. Whatever is fine with. Please be sure to follow the channel, and also like me and follow me on YouTube as well, and Twitter as well, and that way you can know when I'm around and doing these Twitch sessions. Be sure to share on social media about if you're enjoying what you're seeing, the poker we're playing here, the challenge we're doing. Be sure to share on social media for me as well. I would appreciate that. I'm not making any money off of this, so I'd like to generate interest. If I sell a couple more books, great. I'm not going to make a bunch of money off of it. I'm doing this basically as a hobby and for fun. But any support you could give me would be appreciated. So thanks again, everybody, for watching. I appreciate you taking the time out to watch this session and support the channel. Everybody enjoy the rest of their day, and we'll hopefully see you tomorrow.